Welcome to the Call Me Successful podcast. Mr. Fisher, g'day.
Hey, mate, how are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks for coming on.
Very, very welcome. Thank you very much for having me.
How are you enjoying the conference?
Oh, mate, the conference has been sensational. There has been a tremendous amount of value, some great speakers, some good laughs, actually, which is really good. So getting a lot out of the conference, and thanks to, Avi and the team for putting it on. It's a wonderful event. Been here now for a couple of years in a row, and every year it seems to just get better and better.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Puts a lot of effort into it. So I've got you here because you're in the top 1%, we realise.
Heard, top 1%, yeah.
8 podcasts, 800 people.
I feel pretty special, I'll tell you that, mate. I feel pretty special.
Talk to me about your business. So you have built a pretty tremendous rent roll.
Yeah, so I built that alongside my brother Jared. We built it from scratch, started in the industry in 2018 was when we opened, April 2018. Built the rent roll organically to about 750 managements, wow. And then we're now managing about 1,020 or something like that. I guess the numbers to us, truth be told, mate, are not that important. What's important to us is the service that we can deliver to people. Mm-hmm. And I think that's how we built our rent roll. As there's been a couple of speakers in there, talk about, I think, doing what you say you're going to do and actually just showing care and genuine passion for helping your clients, it gets you a long way. Communication is the key to me, I think, when building a rent roll, say from the ground up. Communication is everything in real estate. Clients want to know that you actually have their genuine best interests at heart when you're looking after their best asset. Yep. And communicating that throughout the whole process is, to me, probably the most, the key factor, to doing that. That's how we kind of...
What have you done, to get to this point? So what made you go, okay, you know what? We're not going to focus on sales. We're going to go property management. Why is that?
Well, to be honest with you, the real reason was because, we were out there, we were selling house and land packages at the time, advising clients on house and land packages, and we kind of just wanted something that, would actually provide a little bit more of a consistent income, to be honest with you. We had no idea about property management. I had just gotten my real estate license, pretty much the same as Jared. So, we kind of just saw it as an opportunity to, create more of a stable income for ourselves. But through that process, we learned to love it, really. We're so passionate about our rent roll, or about property management in general, in particular myself. Jared obviously looks after a lot more of our sales together with his team, and I look after the property management side of things. So, very, very passionate about, the property management side of our business.
And how have you grown, in terms of a leader in the business too? Because I imagine, how many property managers are under you now?
Yeah, so we have, I think there's about 8 property managers, but then obviously we've got a couple of assistants based overseas, support staff. So there's 16 in the team in total, and I think that's probably the hardest thing for myself is managing team, and how I've had to evolve and adapt to being a leader. Probably didn't start the business in 2018 thinking that in 2025 I'd have a team of 18 that I'd be looking after. So adapting and molding as a leader is something that I work on personally every day, and I guess seeking feedback from the team about where we're at and how we're going is something that I take really, really important in my role of being a leader. And
what's your advice from what you've learned in the last, say, 5-6 years? What have you learned that you can tell other people, look, this is what's going to help you in your leadership and growing your business?
Look, I think being a good person, number one. I think people want to follow people that they identify with, so I think being a good person is number one. Treating people with respect is number two, to me, number two. I think everybody in our team knows wholeheartedly that, we're there to support them. They're a key ingredient to our business and what we do. So having that respect, people will only do what the leader does. Yep. They're never going to outpace the leader. So as the leader, you got to set the standard, you got to set the benchmark, you got to set where you want the team to be. But if you can do that in a way that you capture, I guess, buy-in and respect from the team, you know, you're going to get a good outcome. Now, I'm not saying we're perfect, you know.
Sure.
We still got a lot of things that, you know, we want to implement and work on. But I think one thing is the team knows that we have their back, you know, through thick and thin, mistakes, you know, that it's all part and parcel of the process. But they know that we have their back in the process. So I think, you know, that's a big thing of being a leader in my eyes.
You're both obviously very big on culture, and from what I've, you know, seen with you and worked with you is having a bit of a laugh and having a bit of fun and just, you know, just taking the piss a little bit.
Yeah. Right, look, Jared and I grew up from a very humble family, you know, where taking the piss and having a laugh was pretty much, you know, what our childhood was based on, really. Yeah. So we've brought that into the business world and people buy into that and they like it. And I guess every time Jared and I have tried to, you know, change and, you know, be a bit more the big suits and the, you know, like you start losing the buy-in from the people that work for you because they can kind of cut through that and see really to your true authentic self. Yeah. You know, as you spoke about earlier, authenticity is key. And if Jared and I try to be something that we're not, it drains our batteries and it just doesn't come across as authentic. So, yeah, we take the piss, we laugh, you know, we don't take ourselves too seriously. But when it comes to, you know, our role, being that managing a person's home or obviously, you know, selling a person's home, we take that role extremely seriously. Yep. You know, we want to make sure that we're out there getting the best outcomes for our clients that we possibly can.
What I've noticed from you two as well is every time there seems to be someone that walks past you might vaguely know or maybe just make eye contact with you both, say hello. You know, you're very big on just getting out there and being social in the public.
Yeah, look, we're people's people. You know, that's to us, I think that's what we consider our best asset. You know, we just, I guess we're happy to talk to anybody. You know, it doesn't matter if you're the top agent, if you're, you know, the guy that's, you know, working, cleaning the joint, you know, we don't care. Yep. You know, everybody's a person, everybody's, you know, human and they want to be interacted with. And I think we think to ourselves that, you know, you don't know everybody else's story. And sometimes it's just that little hello or it's that little smile that, you know, may change someone's day, you know, for that day. So for us, yeah, you know, and it gives us joy too. You know, we enjoy talking to people. It's what we do. You know, you gave me 5 minutes notice of this interview, you know, so, you know, we enjoy that.
Talk to me. Some people say don't go into business with your family. You're very deep with your bride.
Yeah, we're deep. Yeah, we that sounded a bit wrong anyway, but, you know, no, we are good. You know, we're best friends. Yeah. You know, so business kind of flowed naturally together. Yep. We obviously have heard some, you know, horror stories of family and business. Jared tried to, you know, run a business with his wife, and that, you know, thank goodness the business didn't work out because it was either the business or the relationship, okay. You know. So the business didn't work out, which is a good thing. But for us, we feed off each other's energy. We got very similar goals. I often say that, you know, if he wasn't my brother, he'd still be my best mate, you know. So we don't, kind of like working with your best friend, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, you both bounce off each other really well, and I feel like you can feel the natural energy. It reminds me of me and my brother. It's a bit...
Exactly right. You know, meeting your brother recently, you know, you can see the connection between you guys as well, and I think that's exactly what we've got. Much.
We've got an awfully amount of the same voice tone. We say things exactly
incredibly.
The same. It's
incredibly. I didn't honestly, you know, if I closed my eyes and when I was talking to him, I would have been like, you know, Jesus Christ, you know, you're the uglier brother. But, you know, it's good that it was him.
Yeah, absolutely. No, my brother is very funny, and he's the sort of type that's very annoying. I don't know, are you the younger one?
Yeah, I had to think twice about that. Yes, I am. Yeah, I'm the younger one.
Are you annoying as?
Look, I'd like to consider myself more to be, you know, when people see Jared and Art, myself, I am always, without a doubt, you know, said to be the older one. Not because I'm annoying, but just because he's very immature, you know. So, yeah, no, look, I'd hope to think I'm not annoying as fuck, you know, but, you know, I'm sure people have different...
Yeah, right. Just to give you context, my brother's 3 years younger than me, and he does this thing where every time you have a drink, he goes, oh, is that warm? And he puts his finger in it.
Okay, well, I do something similar. If you're having a beer, I'll take mine and I'll knock it on top of his so the whole thing comes out. But, yeah...
We have many similarities.
Exactly.
What can we expect in 2025? What's coming for Remax Aspire?
Yeah, look, in Remax Aspire, we want to keep doing or keep building on what we've implemented over probably the last 12 months. Definitely getting our social media brand out there is something that, we're looking forward to.
Yep.
Obviously, sales is a very key focus, and being the number one go-to agency, for everything sales or property management of the Gold Coast is where we picture ourselves and where we want to be. Giving back to our community is something that, we definitely want to take more on board. I think when you're building a business and, as I said, it hasn't been too long, when you're building a business, you kind of just focus on the next client or the next this, and you don't really take time to say, okay, well, what else is outside of that business? Who can you impact outside of that? So, yeah, this year I would say, establish ourselves as that go-to agency on the Gold Coast, but also, give back to the community that makes us, where we are, I guess.
I look forward to seeing it. You guys, obviously we've been involved in some of the media that you're putting out there.
Yeah,
so
which has been a fantastic partnership. You guys have been absolutely awesome. So
it's been a pleasure. You guys are really fun to work with, which I love. And I think you're in a really cool part of the world too, that where you are in that Churn Park spot, where you've got Southport 5 minutes down the road, you've got Hope Island, Helensvale, all these amazing, really cool spots, which aren't necessarily like Broadbeach, Mermaid Waters, but
exactly.
It
it's a
is
little niche pocket.
Yeah, literally. And it's super high end too. The people that almost, if I was looking in that area, which one day when I'm old enough and I can afford something worth $4 million, I might talk to you.
Well, you keep going at this rate. You're going to be there in a heartbeat, mate, so.
I might buy a few.
Exactly right. I look forward to that. I look very forward to that.
Mate, thank you so much for coming on. Ryan, I know I gave you 5 minutes notice. You've absolutely killed it.
Thank you.
Let's cheers to a big year and let's see how you go.
Appreciate it, Dan.
Thanks, mate.
Good on you, mate.
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube.